Of the 9 people preparing for today's show, only one will take home prize money of up to £10,000. The rest of the team will leave with nothing. Why? Because one by one they'll be voted off as the weakest link.
Welcome to the weakest link. Any of the 9 people in the studio here today could win up to £10,000. They don't know each other, however. If they want the prize money, they'll have to work as a team. But 8 of them will leave with nothing, as round by round we lose the player voted the weakest link. Let's meet the team.
I'm Geordie, I'm 31 and I work for a telecoms company in Bristol.
I'm Jan, I'm 36 from North Cheam in Surrey and I'm a training manager.
My name's Vicky, I'm 28, I live in Watford and I'm a web developer.
I'm Ray, I'm 57, I'm from Greenford in Middlesex and I'm a deputy housing manager.
I'm Melanie, I'm from Edinburgh, I'm a Spanish interpreter and translator.
I'm Bernard, I'm 48 from Birmingham, I'm a service engineer.
I'm Jennifer, I'm an actress and I live in Edgware in London.
I'm Mark, I'm 24 and I'm a hotel barman from Lincoln.
I'm Ian, I'm 36, I'm from March in Cambridgeshire and I'm a prison officer dog handler.
Now the rules. In each round, the aim is to answer enough questions correctly to reach your £1,000 target within the time limit. The fastest way is to create a chain of 9 correct answers. Get your question wrong and you break the chain and lose all the money in that chain. But if you say bank before the question is asked, the money is safe. However, you start a new chain from scratch. Remember, at the end of the round, only money that has been banked can be taken forward. You get 3 minutes in round 1. We'll start with the person whose name is first alphabetically. That's you, Bernard. Let's play the weakest link. And the first question is for £20. Start the clock. Bernard, in which British seaside town would you find the Golden Mile?
Blackpool.
Correct. Jennifer, in physics, do infrared rays have a longer or shorter wavelength than ultraviolet rays?
Shorter.
Longer. Mark, what G is the liquid applied to a piece of pottery after the first firing?
Pass.
Glaze. Ian, in which century did English playwright, composer and director Sir Noel Coward die?
20th.
Correct. Geordie, who was the lead singer of the 1980s pop band Frankie Goes to Hollywood? Holly Johnson. Jan, which TV presenter of MasterChef also peeks through the keyhole?
Lloyd Grossman.
Correct. Vicky. Mika Hakkinen and David Coulthard are the year 2000 drivers for which British-based Formula One team?
Ferrari.
Mercedes McLaren. Ray, in food, is chicory a leaf vegetable or a root vegetable?
A root vegetable.
A leaf vegetable. Melanie, which actor portrayed King Arthur in the 1995 film First Knight?
Sean Connery?
Correct. Bernard, which was the last American city to host the Olympic Games?
Los Angeles.
Atlanta. Jennifer, in which country is the city of Calcutta?
India.
Correct. Mark, in chemistry, what E is the name given to a substance that cannot be decomposed into a simpler substance?
Pass.
Element. Ian, in clothing, what name is given to the white collar worn by clergymen?
Dog collar.
Correct. Geordie, name the Harrods owner who has been denied British citizenship.
Mohammed Al Fayed.
Correct. Jan, what kind of animal accompanies Clint Eastwood in the films Every Which Way But Loose?
Orangutan.
Correct. Vicky,
Bank.
which palace is the London home of the Prince of Wales?
Buckingham Palace.
St James Palace. Ray, tennis player Bjorn Borg has his first Wimbledon victory in which decade?
70s.
Correct. Melanie, what M is the name of an aircraft with a single set of wings?
Pass.
Monoplane. Bernard, Harvard University is in which American state?
A pass.
Massachusetts. Jennifer, how many grams are there in a kilogram?
1,000.
Correct. Mark, in the Bible, which G was a gift brought by the wise men to Jesus?
Gold.
Correct. Ian, In which decade did John F. Kennedy become President of the United States?
60s.
Correct. Geordie, which bird has a reputation for burying its head in the sand?
Emu.
Ostrich. Jan, on the Canadian national flag, is the maple leaf red on a white background or white on a red background?
Red on a white background.
Correct. Vicky, which of the 5 original Spice Girls called their autobiography of Only?
Mel C.
Jerry Halliwell. Ray, which theme park opened in Anaheim, California on the 18th of July 1955?
Disneyland.
Correct. Melanie. In the colours. Time is up. I cannot complete the question. And of the £1,000 available, team, you banked a not very impressive £220. One of you is about to leave with nothing. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Unusually, we have joint strongest links, as the statistics show that Jan and Ian played identically in this round. Vicky was the only player who didn't answer a question correctly, so she's the weakest link. However, she did bank money for the team. Will that save her when the team votes?
Voting over, please reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Vicky.
Bernard.
Mark.
Jennifer.
Vicky.
Mark.
Vicky.
Vicky.
Mark.
Right. Jennifer. Why Vicky?
Because she's young and pretty, and I want to get rid of the opposition.
Melanie. Why Vicky?
She's a little flustered, a little hesitant.
Right. How do you think you did, Melanie?
Reasonably.
You only got one question right.
They're still reasonable.
Anyway, for this round, Vicky, with 4 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
It was absolutely humiliating to answer all 3 questions wrong. I can't believe I did. I don't think I'm going to tell anybody that I'm on it. It was really embarrassing. I just can't believe I got them all wrong. In the next round, if I was to choose one person to go, I think it would be Mark. He got a couple of his questions wrong, and the one that he did get correct wasn't a particularly difficult one.
Round 2, team, and in that first round, you banked only 220 of the possible £1,000 you could have banked. 8 players are left. We are now taking 10 seconds off the clock. We start with the strongest link from the last round. This time we have 2 identical strongest links, Jan and Ian. So we'll start with Ian, as his name comes first alphabetically. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Ian, in literature, A Study in Scarlet was the first story to feature which fictional detective?
Sherlock Holmes.
Correct. Geordie, in which cathedral did Winston Churchill's funeral take place?
St Paul's.
Correct. Jan, in which film did Ralph Fiennes play a role originally played on TV by Patrick Macnee?
The Avengers.
Correct. Ray, in geography, Tierra del Fuego is at the southern end of which continent?
South America.
Correct. Melanie, the conductor, Daniel Barenboim, was married to which cellist?
Jacqueline du Pré?
Correct. Bernard, which Scottish hero was defeated by Edward I at the Battle of Falkirk in 1298?
Robert the Bruce.
William Wallace. Jennifer, in nature, kelp, Canadian pond and dulse are all types of what?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
In nature, kelp, Canadian pond and dulse are all types of what?
Are they seaweed?
Correct. Mark, where in the body is the coccyx?
In the ear.
The base of the spine. Ian, the gemstone emerald is what colour?
Green.
Correct. Geordie, Neapolitana, Veneziana and Margherita are all types of which food?
Ice cream.
Pizza. Jan, which classic TV comedy series features the Ministry of Silly Walks?
Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Correct. Ray, what was the first name of the French general and President de Gaulle?
Charles.
Correct. Melanie, which animal refuge was founded by Mary Tealby in 1860?
The PDSA.
Battersea Dogs Home. Bernard, is Greenwich on the south or north of London's River Thames?
South.
Correct. Jennifer, how many minutes are there in 2 hours?
120.
Correct. Mark.
Bank.
In which sport are Tony McCoy, Mick Fitzgerald and Adrian Maguire leading figures?
Golf.
Horse racing. Ian, the adjective vulpine describes which animals?
Fox.
Correct. Geordie, Handel's Water Music was written for which British king?
George III.
George I. Jan, in sport, party politics, Hello Dandy and Mini Homer have all been winners of which great
Grand
race?
National.
Correct. Ray, in our solar system, does the planet Venus have any known orbiting moons?
No.
Correct. Melanie?
Bank.
In gardening, would adding limestone to earth make it more acid or more alkaline?
Alkaline.
Correct. Bernard, kosher food is associated with which religion?
Jewish.
Correct. Jennifer, which actress played the lead role in the film Barbarella?
Jane Fonda.
Correct. Mark.
Bank.
In medicine, by what name is a computerized axial tomography better known?
CAT scan.
That is the correct answer, but time was up. And in that round, you did slightly better. You banked £300 of the possible 1,000. But who clearly now has to go and needs to be dispatched without delay? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
The strongest link is Ray, who got all his questions right and banked money for the team. The weakest link is Mark, who got all his questions wrong. However, he did bank the most money. Will the other players realise that when they're casting their votes?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Melanie.
Geordie.
Melanie.
Mark.
Geordie.
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 Mark.
Right. Mark. Why Geordie?
Because I thought it was very close between me and him, so I wanted to give myself a bit of an advantage.
Right. How close did you think it was, Mark?
Well, I think we both didn't get any right, but...
Well, that's another wrong answer, isn't it?
No, he got one right, but I banked some money. So I thought that might give me an edge as well.
Statistically, Mark, you were the worst player. But Geordie, you don't know your pizzas from your ice creams, do you?
That was a terrible answer. I can't forgive myself for that one.
With 4 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
The question I got wrong about the pizza, that was very stupid, and I totally understand why I went out. However, I still did better than Mark, and I think he should be here instead of me. I think the next person to go out is going to be Mark. The round before, he nearly went out. I think it's time for him to go.
Round 3, team, and you have in the kitty £520 of the 2,000 you could have banked by now. You're down to 7 players. We are taking another 10 seconds off the clock. We start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Ray. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Ray, in the TV comedy The Royal Family, in which city do they live?
Birmingham.
Manchester. Melanie, which former Beatle married Bond girl Barbara Bach in April 1981?
Ringo Starr.
Correct. Bernard, name the branch of physics that deals with very low temperatures.
Pass.
Cryogenics. Jennifer, which Derbyshire stately home has the Great Cascade water feature in its garden?
Oh, the Devonshire, the Duke of... Oh, the Devonshires live there. Oh, top of my tongue. I can't, sorry, pass.
Chatsworth House. Mark,
Chatsworth.
which royal family ruled England directly after the House of Stuart?
Tudor.
House of Hanover. Ian, what are Hollywood stars traditionally asked to do outside Mann's Chinese Theatre in Los Angeles?
Leave a hand impression.
Correct. Jan, complete the title of the Sidney Sheldon book, The Windmills of what?
Amsterdam.
The Windmills of the Gods. Ray, elephant, grey and harp are all types of which marine mammal?
Whale.
Seal. Melanie, The Proclaimers, Big Country and Deacon Blue are all pop bands that hail from which British country?
Scotland.
Correct. Bernard. David Steele became leader of which political party in 1976?
The Liberal.
Correct. Jennifer, which G is the birthstone for January?
Which
G is the birthstone for January?
Don't know.
Garnet. Mark, in biology, how many main blood groups do humans have?
3.
4. Ian, who played the character Phileas Fogg in the 1956 film Around the World in 80 Days?
Rex Harrison.
David Niven. Jan, in geography, which is furthest south, the Isle of Man or the Isle of Scilly?
Isle of Scilly.
Correct. Ray, in gardening, what bee is the general name for a temporary plant put down for the spring and summer season?
Biannual.
Bedding plant. Melanie, cinco is the Spanish word for which number?
5.
Correct. Bernard, in which century was the scientist and mathematician Sir Isaac Newton born?
16th.
17th century. Jennifer, who played the part of Keith in the 1970s American TV show The Partridge Family?
David Cassidy.
Correct. Mark, Send in the Clowns is a song from which Sondheim musical?
Pass.
A Little Night Music. Ian, in boxing, who became the youngest heavyweight champion of the world in '86 at the age of 20?
Mike Tyson.
Time's up. That was the correct answer. And in that round, you excelled yourself, team. You banked precisely 0. You only answered 8 questions correctly. It's hard to ask you the next question in the singular, but who is letting you down? Or rather, who is the worst player that needs to go? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Melanie is the strongest link in this round. For the second time in a row, Mark is the weakest link statistically. In a poor round overall, can he survive another vote?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Ray.
Jennifer.
Mark.
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 Jennifer.
Ray.
Right. Bernard, why Mark?
I think he's proving to be the weak link.
Jennifer.
Just too many questions that he couldn't answer.
Right. He got 1 right in the first round. It's votes that count, Mark. Did I make you nervous?
No, Jennifer did.
Right.
Thanks.
With 3 votes, Mark, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Jennifer's an actress, and you can tell she's an actress. She's very austere, a bit full of herself, not too much, but very imposing, tends to look down on people, and I get intimidated quite easily sometimes. That last round was just a complete disaster. No more than 2 questions in a row were ever scored. I think everyone had forgotten about banking and was just concentrating on how other people were doing rather than listening and paying attention to what their own questions were. I think Jennifer should go next. She's stuttering a lot, she's very nervous, and she's letting the team down. I think they would do well to get rid of her as soon as possible.
Round 4, team, and I think what could reasonably be described as a rubbish result in the last round. You still have £520 in the kitty. Nothing from the last round. You could have had by now £3,000. There are 6 of you left. We are taking another 10 seconds off the clock. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Melanie. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Melanie, in which country was the Cuban revolutionary and political leader Che Guevara born?
Mexico.
Argentina. Bernard, in the human body, where on the head would you find the cochlea?
In the ear.
Correct. Jennifer, did Amelia Bloomer or Amelia Knickerbocker champion trousers for women in 1850?
Bloomer.
Correct. Ian, in music, what was the small electronic instrument made famous by Rolf Harris?
Stylophone.
Correct. Jan.
Bank.
The CN Tower is a landmark of which Canadian city?
Toronto.
Correct. Ray. Which word follows zebra, bull and gold to make names of birds?
Finch.
Correct. Melanie. In Greek mythology, which P was the first woman on Earth?
Pandora.
Correct. Bernard.
Bank.
In geographical terms, is a skerry a small island or a shallow lake?
Small island.
Correct. Jennifer. Who produces his musicals through the company The Really Useful Group?
Prince Edward.
Andrew Lloyd Webber. Ian, what year will be the next leap year?
2002.
2004. Jan, in the 1989 film Look Who's Talking, whose voice was used for the baby Mickey?
Bruce Willis.
Correct. Ray, what was the name of the 20th century Haitian dictator known as Papa Doc?
I don't know.
François Duvalier. Melanie, in sport, which 1990s Arsenal football manager was part of the historic 1971 double-winning side?
Pass.
George Graham. Bernard, on which continent is the Mekong River?
Pass.
Asia. Jennifer, what was the first name of the American Colonel North who gave a famous testimony during the Iran-Contra affair of the 80s?
Robert.
Oliver. Ian, what colour is the highest value ball in snooker?
Black.
Correct. Jan, how many wives did King Henry VIII have?
6.
Correct. Ray, what was the name of the American project to put a man on the moon in 1968?
Apollo.
Correct. Melanie, which tea is an order of monks known for their vow of silence?
Trappist.
Correct. Bernard, in literature, Fanny Price is the heroine of which Jane Austen novel?
Pride and Prejudice.
Mansfield Park. Jennifer, Vladivostok is the eastern terminus of which railway?
Siberian.
Time's up. The correct answer was Trans-Siberian Railway. And in that round, you did manage to bank some money. Just £270. Who is clearly the worst player? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
The only player who didn't get a question wrong in this round is Jan, so he's the strongest link. The worst player statistically is Jennifer, but will the team have realised that?
Voting over, please reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Jennifer.
Bernard.
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Ray.
Jennifer.
Melanie, why Jennifer?
She couldn't seem to access the information quickly enough.
Did you access the information quickly enough?
I did my best.
Jennifer, did you scare yourself in that round?
I think I did, yeah, and I didn't bank anything.
Who produces his musicals through the company The Really Useful Group? You thought Prince Edward. Which musicals has Prince Edward produced?
He hasn't. It was a dumb answer.
With 4 votes, you are the weakest link.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Well, there's a few people who are a bit dodgy, but I think if I had to choose, it might possibly be Ray. He's got weaknesses in quite a few areas, whereas the others are sort of mediocre on all of them.
Round 5, team, and your total so far is £790. Of course, if you'd hit your targets, it would be £4,000. 5 players left. Jennifer no longer here to scare you. Another 10 seconds coming off the time. We start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Jan. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Jan, is dolciolata cheese made from sheep's milk or cow's milk?
Sheep's milk.
Cow. Ray, in athletics, Leroy Burrell, Donovan Bailey and Maurice Green have all held the world record over what distance?
400 metres.
100 metres. Melanie, in astrology, the water bearer is the symbol for which sign of the zodiac?
Aquarius.
Correct. Bernard, what type of citrus fruit has varieties called Hamlin and Valencia?
Orange.
Correct. Ian,
Bank.
which coin went into circulation in Britain on June the 9th, 1982?
The pound coin.
The 20-pence piece. Jan, in television, in which street is the soap Neighbours set?
Ramsey Street.
Correct. Ray, Taiwan is off the coast of which other country?
China.
Correct. Melanie, in the animal kingdom, which acid occurs in the bodies of red ants?
Formic.
Correct. Bernard,
Bank.
Meryl Streep and Jeremy Irons starred in the film version of which John Fowles novel?
Pass.
The French Lieutenant's Woman. Ian, in sport, for which country does fast bowler Alan Donald play Test cricket?
Australia.
South Africa. Jan, in the card game bridge, how many games make up a rubber?
4.
3. Ray, which Conservative Prime Minister wrote the novel Coningsby?
Lord Archer.
Benjamin Disraeli. Melanie, which American senator ran the controversial witch hunts against communists in the 1950s?
McCarthy.
Joseph McCarthy, correct. Bernard, in which European country would you pay for something with lira?
Italy.
Correct. Ian, which American TV comedy featured Gomez, Morticia and Uncle Fester?
The Addams Family.
Correct. Jan, what was the nationality of the painter Diego Velázquez?
Spanish.
Correct. Ray, in 1985, the first X-ray was carried out on which part of the body?
The torso.
The hand. Melanie, with which musical instrument was Paganini chiefly associated?
Violin.
Correct. Bernard, what was the code name for the 1944 D-Day landings?
No, pass.
Operation Overlord. Ian, in nature, the huckleberry fruit is native to which continent?
North America.
Correct. Time is up, and in that round, you managed a far from impressive £150. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Having answered all her questions correctly, Melanie is the strongest link in this round. The worst player is Ray. He got the most questions wrong and lost the team £200. But will his teammates vote him off?
Voting over, please reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Ray.
Ian.
Ray.
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 Not much doubt about that. Ian, why Ray?
Well, Ray didn't have a good round, but the thing that swung it for me with him was he had the chance to bank our biggest amount of money, and he never took it.
Ray, you didn't bank.
Yeah, that's true, but I was trying to get it bigger, I think.
Right. Unanimously, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
When I lost the team £200, it was a conscious decision of mine to let it ride and not to bank it, so that we could get the money higher and bank more in that particular section of the round. Ian is going to be the next one voted off, I believe. He didn't answer a couple of questions at the end of the row to build the money up, and I voted for him last time for that reason.
Round 6 team, and there's £940 in the kitty. There could, of course, by now be £5,000 there. We start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Melanie. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Melanie, in British TV, who played the New Statesman?
Rick Mayall.
Correct. Bernard, during the Renaissance era, was a doublet and hose a costume for men or women?
Men.
Correct. Ian, which was the Russian mystic whose influence helped to bring about the Russian Revolution?
Rasputin.
Correct. Jan,
Bank.
in religion, what rank of clergyman is in charge of a diocese?
Bishop.
Correct. Melanie, in cinema, what was the name of Bud Abbott's comedy partner in numerous black and white films?
Costello.
Correct. Bernard, the gunpowder plot happened during the reign of which English king?
Charles I.
James I. Ian, which former mayor of Cincinnati went on to present a television talk show?
Jerry Springer.
Correct. Jan, in maths, what is the total if you take the number of days in a week from the number of months in a year?
5.
Correct. Melanie, in which sport do women compete for the Curtis Cup?
Pass.
Golf. Bernard, Which American city is the main setting for James Ellroy's crime novels?
New York.
Los Angeles. Ian, ailurophobia is the medical term for a fear of which animals?
Mice.
Cats. Jan, which TV comedian sang about Ernie, the fastest milkman
Benny
in the
Hill.
West? Correct. Melanie. In space, the star Regulus is the brightest in which zodiacal constellation?
Aquarius.
Leo. Bernard. In the animal kingdom, which antelope shares its name with a small drum?
Pass.
Bongo. Ian. In ancient Rome, what name did General Octavius have given to him after becoming Caesar?
Julius.
Augustus. Jan, what bee is the name given to the study of chemical changes within living organisms?
Biology.
Biochemistry. Melanie, which actor portrayed Jim Morrison in Oliver Stone's 1991 film The Doors? Correct. Bernard,
Bank.
in Greek mythology, which nine-headed monster did Hercules kill?
Medusa.
Hydra. Ian, which commercial food preserving process did Carrot's Bird's Eye invent?
Freezing.
Time's up. The correct answer was food freezing. Just £170 banked. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
With the least wrong answers and the most money banked, Jan is the strongest link for the third time. Bernard is the worst player with the most wrong answers. But will he collect the votes?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Bernard.
Bernard.
Jan.
Bernard.
Melanie, why Bernard?
I think he was running out of steam.
Bernard, you got only one question right in that last round. With 3 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I think Jan would be the next one to go because he seems to be faltering slightly. He's missed banking money a couple of times as well. So I think that he's probably the next candidate to go.
Round 7, you've banked £1,110 out of the 6,000 you could have won. 3 of you left, another 10 seconds coming off the clock. We start with the strongest link from the last round, that's Jan. Let's play weakest link. Start the clock. Jan, in food, a cantaloupe is a type of what fruit?
Melon.
Correct. Melanie. In sport, excluding possible substitutes, how many players are there in a baseball team?
9.
Correct. Ian. In science, which O was a German physicist who gave his name to a unit of electrical resistance?
Ohm.
Correct. Jan, in
Bank.
Christianity, how many weeks before Easter Day is Passion Sunday?
6.
2. Melanie. In the animal kingdom, by what name is the snake, the adder, also known?
Viper.
Viper, correct. Ian, in the TV comedy programme The Rolling Stones, Al Pacino and Jimmy Hill all live in which street?
Theatrical Street.
Stella Street. Jan, in the Bible, what is the last gospel of the New Testament?
John.
Correct. Melanie. In sport, Boris Rankov was a member of the winning team for 6 consecutive years in which annual rowing event?
The boat race.
Correct. Ian, in Britain, what is the Glastonbury Tor? A hill, a stone or a monument?
It's a stone.
A hill. Jan, in maths, what is 25% of 500?
125.
Correct. Melanie. In literature, Robert James Waller wrote a bestseller about the bridges of which county?
Madison County.
Correct. Ian.
Bank.
Complete the title of the 1692 opera by English composer Henry Purcell, The Fairy what?
Princess.
Queen. Jan, what is the name of the bear from the TV programme The Muppet Show?
Fuzzy Bear.
Fozzie Bear.
Fozzie Bear.
Melanie. In France, how many municipal districts does Paris have?
16.
20. Ian, what is the freezing point of water on the Fahrenheit scale?
32.
Correct. Jan,
Bank.
which island group is named after the small alligators found there?
Everglades.
Cayman Islands. Melanie, in sport, Li Leishan won Olympic gold in the women's Mistral class yachting at Atlanta. What country did she represent? Time's up. The correct answer was Hong Kong. And in that round, you banked £170. who is least likely to help you get the maximum amount of money in the bank? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
For the third time, Melanie is the strongest link statistically. The weakest link is Ian, having answered the fewest questions correctly. But who will lose out in the voting at this vital stage of the game?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Ian.
Jan.
Jan.
Ian. Why Jan?
Well, this is the first round that Jan's really started to falter a little bit there, and the questions just never came up for him.
Why Ian, Jan?
Because I know he was the weakest link. I know Melanie got virtually all her questions right.
Yeah.
And I felt I got a lot more than Ian got right.
You got one more right than Ian. Statistically, Ian was the weakest link, but it's votes that count. Jan, you have been voted the weakest link. Goodbye.
Well, I shouldn't be the one who should be stood here. I think it should be Ian, because statistically it was proved he was the weakest link. I knew that even before Anne said he was the weakest link.
Round 8 team, and there's £1,280 in the kitty out of a possible 7,000 you could have won by now. Melanie and Ian, just the two of you left. This time you have only 90 seconds. But whatever you win in this round will be trebled and added to your total to make up your final prize money. £3,000 is at stake in this round. We start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Melanie. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Melanie, Alec Guinness won an Oscar for Best Actor for which 1957 war film?
Pass.
The Bridge on the River Kwai. Ian, Transylvania is a region of which country?
Romania.
Correct. Melanie, in which century did the German music composer Wagner die?
19th.
Correct. Ian.
Bank.
Until 1868, Kyoto was the capital of which country?
Ceylon.
Japan. Melanie, who directed the first Alien film in 1979?
Ridley Scott.
Correct. Ian. In which country was the Bauhaus School of Architecture based?
Germany.
Correct. Melanie, which is the only one of the 7 dwarfs whose name begins with the letter B?
Bashful.
Correct. Ian.
Bank.
Which dish of Indian origin consists of a mixture of rice, smoked haddock and hard-boiled eggs?
Kedgeree.
Correct. Melanie, blackbirds belong to which bird family?
Crow.
Thrush. Ian, what is the 3rd book of the New Testament?
Luke.
Correct. Melanie, what S is a pile of rock fragments at the foot of a cliff or hill, often forming a sloping heap?
Scree.
Correct. Ian.
Bank.
In which century did the Austrian composer Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart die?
18th.
Correct. Melanie, at which battle against the English in 1513 was King James IV of Scotland killed?
Bannockburn.
Battle of Flodden. Ian, was the expressionist artist Chagall born in the 19th or the 20th century?
20th.
19th. Time's up, and between you in that round, team, you won £200. We'll treble it and add it to the winnings from the previous rounds. That means prize money today of £1,880. But only one of you can take that money away. You will now play against each other head to head. I'll ask alternate questions, best of 5. Whoever answers the most correctly wins. If there's a tie after 5, we'll go for sudden death until we have a winner. So, Melanie and Ian, for £1,880, let's play the weakest link. Ian, as the strongest link in the last round, you have the choice of who goes first.
I will go first, Anne, please.
Ian, in 1991, who resigned as the last president of the USSR?
Gorbachev.
Correct. Melanie, in children's TV, which bowler-hatted Londoner lived at 52 Festive Road?
Pass.
Mr. Ben. Ian, In the 1966 Football World Cup final, what was the score between England and Germany after 90 minutes?
2-2.
That is correct. Melanie, name one of the US presidents depicted on Mount Rushmore.
Abraham Lincoln.
Correct. Ian, seen at pedestrian crossings, what was named after a 1930s Minister of Transport?
Belisha Beacon.
That is the correct answer. Melanie, asteroid is another name for what type of sea creature?
Starfish.
That is the correct answer. Ian, in literature, what is the full title of the 4th Harry Potter book?
The Wizard of Doom.
No. Correct answer is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Melanie, which cabinet minister's real forenames are Robert Finlayson?
John Prescott.
Robin Cook. Ian, if you answer this question correctly, you have won £1,880. Romansh is an official language of which country?
Romania.
Switzerland. Melanie, you have to answer this question correctly to stay in the game. In the Bible, how many horsemen of the apocalypse were there?
4.
That is the correct answer. After 5 questions, your scores are tied. We now go into a sudden death situation. The questions will continue in pairs. Ian, if you get your question correct, then Melanie will have to answer hers correctly or she will lose. And Ian, if you get your question wrong, then Melanie will have to answer hers correctly to win. Ian and Melanie, let's play sudden death. Ian, which Premiership football club is named the Toffee Men?
Everton.
That is the correct answer. Again, Melanie, you need to answer correctly to stay in the game. Melanie, in which county is Portsmouth Harbour?
Dorset.
The correct answer is Hampshire. That means, Ian, you are today's strongest link and you go away with £1,880. Melanie, you leave with nothing. Join us next time for The Weakest Link. Goodbye.
I do think I did deserve to get to the final. Obviously, once I got there, I was unlucky with some of the questions. But then again, it was a very closely matched thing. I don't think any injustice was committed there.
In the final, I thought my questions were a lot harder than Melanie's, and obviously I got more right.
My one consolation was that I didn't have to do the walk of shame, and that was the one thing that I was really dreading. So in a sense, I suppose I was lucky.